Let's be consistent.
Welcome to the Key to Consistency. I'm your host, Rakeyia Collins, and on today's episode, we are going to be exploring the relationship between consistency and drinking water. So I know that for a lot of us, being able to drink water consistently, whether it's the standard 8 glasses of water a day, or we're trying to get to that gallon a day, it is not the easiest thing to do, but it is a goal that is worth consistently pursuing. So hopefully on today's episode, you learn something that encourages you to continue, picking up that glass or picking up that water container and making sure that you hit your water goal. Water, of course, as we all know, is a fundamental pillar of our well-being as humans. Every time we sip water, it nourishes our cells and really aids in digestion and supports vital bodily functions. It's so funny when I think about that because, of course, we love to drink other things, right? Like juice and tea and coffee and sodas and all other types of things. But there's sometimes you get to the point of thirst where you say, no, I just want plain water. I don't want flavored water. I don't want water with a lemon. I want regular water. Our bodies, as we all know, are 70 to 75%, or if not more, are just made up of, is water. And so it's important that we prioritize the intake of pure water, not water mixed with other things. I'm sure we all grew up with our grandparents and our parents who loved us, but were also trying to appease us at times by not necessarily instilling the need for water. We may get, flavored water. We may get water from other sources or other things, but not that consistent water that we would need, right? And by consistent, I want to be clear, consistent and pure, just water, not water with a kick, not water with a tinge, just plain old water. And I'm not against if you like your water with lemon or lime or something added into it, that's totally fine as well. But we may also want to be cognizant that we're not getting too funky with our water, and sometimes just regular old water is good enough, right? If I had to give an analogy of water, water is like the conductor of an orchestra, right? It's like if everything were a symphony and our organs were different instruments, the water is the conductor that really keeps everything in harmony. I found it interesting to know that water played a crucial role in regulating our body temperature and cushioning our joints. I didn't, in my mind, I just didn't make the connection between drinking water and additional cushions between your joints, especially as we age and get older. Having good joint movement, when we think about our elbows, our knees, it's critical, and water can definitely play a role in that. Water can definitely be the unsung hero of our physiological organs, right? Orchestra rather. It's one of those things that doesn't necessarily get the attention that it deserves, but it's so amazing and so crucial and so beneficial. Proper hydration even impacts our mental clarity and our ability to focus, right? You'll notice that, especially for me, since for me, I work from home. So I personally enjoy having, I have my water bottle with me that just sits next to me, and I just intake water all day, right? They have some water bottles or some water jugs that have the different times on them to kind of help encourage you to say, hey, you should be here, or you should be there, or you should be there by a particular time of the day when you're drinking your water. And one of the things that I personally understand is that, yes, that's great, and I love that, but that may not be as realistic as we like to believe, right? It's helpful because for people who find it hard to drink regular water, the reminders on the bottle will tell you, hey, you should be here by 9 a.m., here by 10 a.m., here by 11 a.m., right? But of course, to every helpful thing, there's always a double-edged sword, because you'll have people who look at that and it's a source of anxiety when they're not where they're supposed to be, right? And so I personally would encourage you, number one, because I have not seen a water, it may exist, but I haven't seen it, a water jug that has those type of measurements on it that is not made out of plastic. I'd say that's my first kind of gripe with those. I would encourage you as much as possible to not drink directly out of plastic. Just again, that's a whole different podcast within itself when we think about plastic. So I would say my water container that I have, it's made of metal. I got it off of Amazon. It's a pretty like marble color on the outside, and it's just made of a metal with like a metal straw. And I just use that every single day. It's 32 ounces. And so I drink my water out of that. I would encourage you to set a timer. So if you want to make sure that you are where you're supposed to be for the next hour or the next 2 hours, that timer is there to remind you, or maybe you set a calendar reminder on your phone, or if you are like me and you work from home, put on your calendar like a water break, or like literally put something on your calendar to say break, and make that your water break to say, hey, every hour, every 30 minutes, I need to remember to drink water. So hopefully that helps someone who, and again, I'm not saying if you already have a jug like that you throw it away. Absolutely not. This is by all means my personal opinion. I personally encourage people as much as possible to not drink out of plastic. But if you find that it helps you, it's been helping you meet your goal, you're doing so well with it, please, by all means, continue forward. When we think about some of the other benefits of water, water is really one of the things that will help you get to that radiant skin, right? It's not always about the facials and the creams and the lotions. Water also plays a role in your skin as well. The hydration that we give our face really helps us flush out those toxins and helps us leave our skin clearer and a lot more youthful. When we talk about energy, it's not really just about caffeine that boosts our energy. Adequate water as well on a consistent basis can help you get over that mid-afternoon slump. So I know when I was working in the office, like I think my first job out of college, I was going in the office 5 days a week. And this was, of course, pre-COVID. We had a cafeteria or like a break room. And, of course, morning coffee. And then in the evening time or early afternoon, I'd say like 2 or 3, you'd see people going back in there to socialize and get another cup of coffee. And it's just so interesting to me that water can combat that. Right. Personally, in doing my research, I didn't know that water had that much power. The skin, I can give it to you that, okay, cool. It helps flushes out the toxins in your body. But in regards to the way that it impacts your mood and your energy, that I found very interesting. Another fun fact that I found was that our brains are like sponges. And so they soak up water for cognitive function. And that's what helps our brains stay sharp and improve concentration and really keep our creative gears turning. And so water is not just something that, we should do in terms of drinking it consistently every once in a while. It's really something that should be done every single day, right? At minimum, if we just get in our 8 glasses, or if you have to start with a glass up to 4 glasses a day, right? However you need to kind of incorporate water in your routine, I would encourage you to do so, right? So I want to paint a little picture for you guys. So hopefully this helps you. So imagine with me, right, that there is a thirsty camel, and that camel is trekking through the desert, right? As the days begin to pass, right, the camel begins to realize that the mirages that it's chasing are not real water sources, right? Finally, as the camel is continuing to go through this desert, it discovers an oasis. It actually discovers the importance of water, right? It learns the value of patience and really the importance of seeking true hydration, right? And so I share that little story with you guys, hopefully to kind of encourage you to say that in our journey, if we were to be in the place of the camel, that we can go through different mirages, again, those different sports drinks and flavored waters and all these other types of things that we're hoping is going to actually get us where we want to be, which is the true oasis of just drink your water, right? Hopefully that's helped you guys with understanding the importance of genuine nourishment that comes from water. And we don't necessarily have to chase those quick fixes because we don't like the way that true water tastes. So I would encourage you as an action item for at least this first step is to think about keeping a hydration journal, right? Make a note and be intentional about your water intake, right? How do you feel throughout the day? Make sure that as you're creating your hydration journal, you write down when you want to drink water and whether you put an alarm on your phone, whether you use your calendar, your work calendar, personal calendar, you have these alerts that come up. Make sure that you're cognizant of when you're supposed to be drinking water and keep that in your journal, right? In your journal, you can write, hey, I drank a lot of water today and these were the positive changes that I felt. Again, whether it's what we mentioned earlier with the clear skin, the improved focus, the elevated energy levels, or if you notice, hey, I go to the bathroom a lot more than I did before, right? Like that's true, right? And keep that in your hydration journal. Keep that positivity and the truth in your hydration journal. And notice how if you do this consistently for 30 days, I would encourage you to reflect on that journal and see kind of how your water progress and where that journey has taken you from day 1 to day 30 of drinking water consistently. Today's episode is brought to you by the merch shop at thekeytoconsistency.com. I would encourage you to visit our merch shop to see if there's anything that piques your interest. One of the easiest ways to be consistent is to be visually reminded that you are on a mission. You are going to be consistent. So whether you pick up a phone case or you pick up a t-shirt, we have something for you. Again, that is www.thekeytoconsistency.com. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Awesome, guys. So the next thing that I want to talk to you all about is going to be really the practical approach about how you can incorporate more water in your day to day, right? Because of course it sounds nice to say you should drink more water. Yay. Like, let's go drink more water. It's not that easy, right? Especially if this is not something that you've been doing, right? So a few practical tips to infuse water in your day to day life is going to be to begin your day with a glass of water to help you kickstart your metabolism, right? What I would encourage you to do is before you make your cup of coffee or while you're making your coffee, drink a cup of water and let that be your glass. Let that count for one of your glasses for the day, right? We know that it takes a few steps to make coffee. Once you've actually made the coffee, right, and you step away rather than just standing there and waiting for the water to be made, or if you are in the office and you're talking to a colleague or a coworker, walk away and get some water while your coffee is being made and drink that glass. Whether you drink it all before the coffee is made or you finish it up and then you just take your coffee back to your desk, whatever you decide to do, I would encourage you to kind of kickstart your day like that, right? If you don't go in the office and you work from home, let that be one of the first things that you do before you even leave to go. I said leave before you even go sit down at your desk at home. Like, make sure you leave the kitchen and you have a glass of water with you as you go sit at your desk. Right? If you are at home or if you're in the office, keep a bottle of water with you. Keep it in your bag. Keep it at your desk, in your car. Keep it so that way water is never too far away from you. Right? And I know I'm going to go back because the in the car statement might have thrown some of you guys. If you do not want to keep your water in your car, keep a bottle of water in your car, that is totally fine. If it really depends on where you live, right? Like some places don't necessarily get hot or cold. They're just the smooth temperature, that smooth 70, that perfect level, right? It's not humid. It's just chill, right? You know your environment and you know where you live. If it's not feasible for you and it's not realistic for you to say, I'm going to keep a bottle of water in my car, hey, do not do it. And I would encourage you not to do it, especially if you are using plastic. We definitely don't want any hot plastic sitting in our car and then drinking it. Another thing I would say is remember to take a few sips a day, right? Even if you're not able to meet your goal the first day that you try, taking those few small sips are really just as effective as gulping down a whole glass at once. Why? Because it's good for your mentals. It'll remind you that mentally you are on a journey. You are on a journey to consistency. You are not giving up. You might not have met your goal for that particular day, but you're not giving up. And you're still going to take your sips of water, even if you're not able to meet the entire goal, right? The next thing I would encourage you to do is to set a water intake goal the same way we set goals for anything and everything else, right? And make sure those goals are broken down into actionable, measurable steps, right? Aim to take in a certain number of cups of water or ounces of water a day and really track your progress, right? You can use apps that are designed to help remind you when you should drink your water, or as mentioned earlier, keeping that hydration journal to help you celebrate each and every glass of water that you drink. Right? A fun fact that's not so fun that I found out is that even mild hydration, mild dehydration can actually impact your mood and cognitive function. Like mildly, like imagine how many of us are mildly dehydrated, not completely, right? Because you are able to get water from other things that you intake, but like true water sources, which is where that mild dehydration comes into play, because we're not truly drinking water. We're getting water from other sources that we intake. And so even something that's not severe can still impact your mood and impact your cognitive function. Right? That's critical to note. And so I would encourage you, again, just another call out to make sure that we're taking this seriously and taking this journey of being more consistent with our water. It's critical, guys. It really, really is. Now, one thing that you can do that I kind of talked about it earlier, if you don't want to dive in with just plain water, some people do like to make sure that their water is infused with some type of like citrus or like berries or even herbs. I would say it makes water more appealing, and it doesn't add any other like sugars into it that are not natural, that are not unnatural. So go for it if that's what you need to do to kind of help you get over the hump of drinking water. But again, personal preference, I would encourage all of us to get used to just drinking regular water, and you can rely on mixing your water with other things on an as needed basis and not something that consistently has to be done all the time, right? When we think about what's going to make this journey a lot easier, I talked about how I have my metal water bottle container from Amazon, and that's with me really all throughout the day when I'm at work. But convenience is key. And so I would encourage you to invest in a reusable water bottle, not the ones that you have to buy consistently from the store. And then if you're out, you have to disrupt your day because you need to now go to the store to get some more water bottles. I would encourage you, and I'm not saying don't buy the actual bottles of water from the store, because of course those are helpful as well. But I would encourage you to actually invest in something that is a bit more reusable. So that way you don't have to worry about being in a situation where you don't have the water that you need because you ran out of water bottles. And that gets into making sure that we have good water in our home. Again, personal preference, do not encourage people to drink tap water. I would encourage you to get a water filter. There are some great resources online about the best water filter for families, especially if you know you have a larger family. You want to get a decent sized water filter. They got the under the sink water filters. You have reverse osmosis. Like there's so many different options, but whatever you decide to do, I would encourage you to invest in making sure your family has access to clean water that is available in your home. And that would likely wean down the fact that you are buying so much water bottles from the store. I think that when you think about what is important in terms of the strategy, right? I want to sum it all up. The most important strategy that we can have as it relates to consistent hydration is making sure that we are committed. Commitment is the strategy. And I know that sounds so crazy, but once we commit to taking this first day, right? This first hour, right? This first minute, it can get very, 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 very granular, because I know that there are some people who've tried this before and struggled with it before. And oftentimes we tend to quit because our goals are too big. So I don't want to say, hey, commit to a week, commit to 2 weeks. I want to say commit to a day, right? And commit to an hour, right? Commit to an hour and say, within this hour, I am going to drink 2 glasses of water every 30 minutes, 1 glass at the top of the hour, and then 1 glass 10 minutes before the next hour, right? However you want to do it, whatever is going to give you that sense of I am making strides and progress, and I'm actually stepping towards the thing that I want to do. I would encourage you again, try those creative mixes. If you need to start off with mixing something with your water and you find that, you know what, I'm going to constantly mix something with my water, I don't care what Rakeyia says. That's fine. Again, this is personal preference, guys. So that's totally fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, make sure that we have that intake goal set of however many glasses we're going to drink, right? Make sure that we use those reminders and take this step to be a more hydrated version of yourself, right? And of course, when we think about water and starting anything new, anything that revolves around consistency, there are going to be challenges, right? We have to make sure that we cultivate a positive attitude towards our water and towards the water that we intake, right? We have to visualize the benefits of drinking our water, right? It's one of those things where it's not something that, let me sit back and think about it for a little bit. This is something that your body requires to function properly, as we know, right? Like, this isn't something where you can kind of deliberate on it and try to figure out if you're going to do it. It's something that you know you should do, but the thought process is, how can I best incorporate this into my life? Not if I should even incorporate this into my life. And I say that to say the root of it is that building a habit is not just about actions. It's about your mindset. When you have a positive attitude towards your water intake and you visualize some of the benefits that you might have already known or learned from today's episode, it's really about your health and your well-being, and making sure that every single day in this world, you're able to show up and you're able to bring your best self. There is nothing like support and nothing like accountability. I would encourage you to make sure that when you are starting this journey, if you know that you live in a household with people or you have friends who could really benefit from this as well, right? Encourage them to join you. You guys can send photos back to back of each other drinking water. Like, hey, my glass is half full this morning, already down 3 glasses and a half. Where are you at? It's something that keeps the relationship live and connected and supportive. I feel like as humans, we talk about everything else under the sun with our friends, right? But we don't necessarily talk about things that really help move the needle for our lives. And this is one of those goals that'll really help move the needle, right? When I think about water in general, it's just so critical, man. And it's just so crucial that we all understand the importance of something that is so simple and that we likely take for granted, especially if you live in America. We can sometimes, especially if you live in a place, I should say, in America that has not been impacted by unhealthy or unfiltrated water, you take it for granted that, okay, it's just water. It's just there, right? I would encourage you to really rethink that. Right? That water is key, that water is critical, and that water matters. As we think about how we can face these challenges that are inevitably going to come up as it relates to water, we should make sure that you continue to shift your mindset, right? And that you pick a date and you commit to practicing, this is how much water I am going to take in, right? You commit to, I'm going to start by buying a water bottle, right? Preferably one that's non-plastic, right? But I am going to commit to taking these steps to making sure that my best self is brought forward. So of course, guys, as we end today's episode, I do want to end today's episode with the Bible scripture that comes from Galatians 6:9. Let us not not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Guys, I want to say this in the context of our episode today. Do not become weary in drinking water, okay? Water in this example is the doing good piece, right? Don't become weary in doing good, the scripture says. At the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. You will reap a harvest if you commit to consistently drinking water. You will see the benefits in your life if you decide, I am going to consistently drink water, right? Time and time again, it's been proven by people of different races, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. We are all humans and we're all made up a good bit of water. We talked about it earlier, 70% or more of water. You are giving your body back what it needs to survive. So remember, guys, consistency breeds mastery and transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Until next time. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of The Key to Consistency. Wherever you are listening to this podcast, it would mean everything to me if you could rate it, review it, reach out to me on Instagram. Would love your feedback, would love to hear anything you like, anything you don't like. Please feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit from it. And until next time, bye guys.